Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Tell Us Your Tale podcast. Alongside me, as always, is Jake.
You.
And today we're joined by a special guest, gym owner and good man, Tez.
Hello.
Thanks for coming on, mate.
No worries.
So, your story so far, army career, gym owner, very good gym, by the way, Pride Gym,
Cheers.
bottom of Abscott Lane, Lowmore.
I think where to go about it, Tez, because I don't know anything about you. Really, just tell us a bit about yourself, who you are, how you grew up, your career, and where we are now.
Yeah, no worries. So I was born in, I was born in hospital, but I'm from Woodside originally. Grew up there for a few years and then moved up sort of Buckshire way. At 16, on leaving school, I got basically chucked out from sixth form. I just didn't turn up. Gave me an inch, I took on my arm, never went. So I got a job in Bradford. Do you remember Sports Shoes Unlimited?
Yeah, I was on about that yesterday.
Wiggy worked there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I used to work there. And it was a decent little gig. Remember, you used to have that little football stadium thing at the back with all the boots.
That giant boot as well, wasn't there? They were that massive boot.
Yeah,
I always remember that was like a driving range for football.
Yeah, you
wasn't
used
it?
to test the boots out in the nets and stuff. So I worked down there. And if you were in the football bit, it was dead easy. You're on your own. You just tried football boots on all day and twatting them into a net, and with massive screen playing old school football. It was class.
Oh, sweet.
But my dad wasn't happy with it because I was getting paid like £3 an hour. So I started looking around for jobs. I went into Leeds on the train, and I remember, I've got a really bad memory, but I vividly remember getting into Leeds, going on Bond Street where the AFCO is, the careers office for forces. And this is not long after Iraq had kicked off. And the street were immaculate, but the AFCO were covered in spray paint. All the windows were smashed. They were boarded up, egged, everything. Protesting about Iraq. Yeah. So I went in, as you know, looking for a job. So I walked up to the front, and there's an army guy sat there. He said, how can I help you? I said, I just want to speak to the RAF or Navy. He said, well, Navy guy's on his dinner, RAF's here. So I joined the RAF, basically.
Yeah, simple as that.
Simple as that,
I
yeah.
suppose it was a job opportunity as well.
A bit more of an elongated process. Obviously, I sat down, had a chat, went back for the aptitude test, stuff like this. Got back, told my mum and dad. My dad was sound. He's ex-Navy. Not that he did much. He went AWOL anyway, but my mum were a bit shocked. But yeah, I did all the aptitude tests. I said I wanted to be a qualified electrician. I want to get a trade. That was the big thing, for my dad, get a trade, which is fair dues. So I went in as a communications electronics engineer, which in short is radar, airfield communications kit, that sort of stuff, radio, satcoms. So 16, joined up, and it were a baptism of fire, really. It was still pretty, like, the RAF's gone pretty soft now, but back then it was still, it were pretty rough and ready. Going from 16, having lions, going out with my mates, going then with grown-ass men shouting in your face, getting fizzed, inspections, 3-hour sleep, that sort of stuff. It were pretty intense, really. So I grew up quick. It grew up really quick, and I was there. I think basic training back then was 9 weeks, so I did the basic training, and that were rough. Like, I grew up a lot in that 9 weeks, and it was good because the guys around me, they look after you. Because you're 16, you're young, sort of wet behind the ears. I didn't even have to shave every day back then because I was that young. The big things obviously shave. Yeah, so on my inspection, my razor were gleaming every time because I never used the fucker. So but you grew up quick, like, and that was good. And then obviously did that, went to trade training, and then that was quite a long process because obviously the training up to be an electronics engineer, you have to learn a lot in terms of theory and then doing the practical stuff.
Is that just like a full-blown apprenticeship like you would on Civvy Street? Or?
Yeah, it's a really nice gig, to be fair, an apprenticeship there back then, because you went in to do an apprenticeship, you're on full pay for your rank, which was relatively low, but for a 16-year-old, I was balling, had nothing to pay for.
No time to spend it either as well.
Yeah, well, yes and no. So when you got a chance to spend it, you're like a payday millionaire. But that were a good gig because basically it's like going to school with adults for 18 months with a bar, living together, eating together, getting a shower in the same sort of shower room together. You do everything together. So you get really good sort of friendships, and it's just a laugh. It was literally just a laugh for like 18 months. Obviously, you do a lot of phys, you've got inspections, you've got all the military stuff that you'd normally get, exercises, that sort of stuff. But yeah, so we did that sort of for 18 months, sort of literally limped through that because I spent half the time getting pissed. Managed to scrape through, and then I got my first posting, and that was so I joined April 03. My first posting was December 04, and I went to Waddington near Lincoln. Right. So I went there, went into what's called a ground radio section. So you're doing radar, transmitters, receivers, that sort of stuff, maintaining the airfield, comms and stuff like that. And again, by this point, I'm just about 18. And again, a bit more of a baptism of fire in, you're having to actually do the job. People are expecting standards, this sort of stuff. And I was still pretty immature back then, I was fair to say. Or a bit of a little shit, to be honest. And I remember on my first report, my annual report, I got the worst score you can actually get. It's very rare. So they used to have this old scoring process. They have strongly recommend for promotion, highly recommend for promotion, recommended for promotion, not likely, likely to be recommended, and then not likely to ever be promoted. And I was like the 0.1% I got the not likely to ever be promoted. So that sort of gave you an idea. And basically, I just sort of got pissed for like 2 years through that. Met some really, really good friends. A lot of them I'm still in touch with now. We had a really sort of good group back then. Played a lot of football, did a lot of sport together, spent a lot of time together, and that's carried on for probably the next 11 years. That process of living with your mates, working with your mates, going to dinner with your mates, having tea with your mates, playing sports with your mates, then going to the bar and just repeating that Monday to Friday. You sort of don't realise how good you've got it. So that I'll come back to that, but 11 years later when I left, that was tough to sort of adjust. So I did Waddington, and then Iraq was still rumbling on at this point, but I felt like I was kind of just treading water and wasting my time a little bit. So and Afghan had not long kicked off, so I volunteered to go to Afghan, did my first tour, and that first tour was as a baggage handler, basically. Passenger handling it was. So basically what I did was in Bastion, they had a flight line where the helicopters come in, hot landing, people get on, you throw the bags on, you get the shit off, and it flies off again. So I did that for 4 months. It was class. They were like me and one other guy. There were me and one other guy of my rank, which was like the lowest rank, and then a corporal. But we had no seniors really, so we were just in charge. Us three, I think there's 4 of us actually. 4 of us are really low ranks in charge. A pretty critical job, like getting people on the right flights, making sure they're getting the post off, getting the right bags on, getting the baggage off, all under a helicopter that's just landed, that's still spinning, and it's loud as fucking doing all that in like, a minute, so they could go off again. Wow. So it was good. It was a really, really good experience. Saw a lot, got around Afghan quite a bit. And that, I was young back then. Again, and that was another growing up period for me where I sort of I took a risk and I sort of put myself in a place where I'd had to challenge myself and push myself. And that's probably the first time I started that process, which I've sort of carried on since really in terms of pushing yourself, getting out your comfort zone. So I really enjoyed it. I loved it. Came back, felt like I didn't really want to go back fully of just sort of treading water and fixing transmitters and receivers, and a bit boring really, to be honest. So I volunteered to go on like the RAF version of the army. They get a lot of shit in the military and with good reason usually. So RAF regiment, it's like the RAF's army, if that makes sense. So I worked on there as their signaller basically, again, doing the trade, but in a more active combat environment, if that makes sense. Did a tour with them again of Afghan with those guys. That were good. Again, learned a lot of responsibility. I was the only guy out there responsible for their comms, their ECM, which is the countermeasures for IEDs, responsible for all that stuff, and that went well. Came back, and again, that yearn for doing more sort of carried on. So I was at RAF Regiment Squadron for like 2 years, and again, a lot of drinking. I forgot actually in between the RAF Regiment Squadron and the first tour, I did Cyprus for like 2 years, which was insane.
Were you like Paphos way then?
Yeah, we were based sort of down the south. So just south of Paphos near Limassol.
Yeah.
Based down there. And that was literally, you'd work half days because of the heat. And then on a Friday, you'd finish at midday. We'd have our cars packed, we'd drive straight to Iron Apple. And we'd do 2.5 days in Iron Apple, just getting absolutely blitzed. And then go back and then just repeat that process for like 6 months. So all the money I saved in Afghan, I spunked in Iron Apple in Square, really. We were banned from there, but we just stayed in small groups and sort of get our head down. You could spot the army guys from a mile because they were in groups of like 10, try to fight with everyone they could find on punch bag machines or whatever. So. But yeah, so we just sort of kept his head down a little bit and just had a laugh, really good. Did that for 2 years. And then I volunteered for the RAF Red Squadron, did that for 2 years. But in the back end of there, again, I felt like I could do more.
Yeah.
You know, you see the guys going out in Afghan, seeing the action, doing stuff, that sort of thing. You sort of held back a little bit. So I want a guy that's going to go out and be an infantier. You know, I didn't have that in me. You know, they're a next step above, I think, personally. So I volunteered to do basically an intelligence-based job. Can't go into massive detail about it, but did that for 2 years. Passed the selection for it, which was a massive. That's another one of those vivid memories. You know, when you pass the selection, you don't expect you're up against grown-ass people. You're very experienced, 20 years down the line of their careers, seeing your ranks, and you're getting selected above them as that bottom rank who's not likely to ever be fit for promotion. You know, that's quite a proud moment.
Yeah.
So
How old are you at this point?
So at this point, I am 24 at this point. Yeah, you got 40-year-old people who are just crumbling, and you know, I managed to get through it and did all right, really.
So sorry, whilst all this is happening, are you with your wife at the time?
Yeah, so with Tanya, with Tanya, yeah. So Tanya's my wife. So yeah, we were together. We weren't married at this point. We were just together, just sort of long distance relationships. Yeah, basically seeing each other when we can on a weekend. Getting live Facebook updates of me in Cyprus. Yeah, in a puddle of my own piss.
Do you not think though that looking back, it was probably better that you were doing all that while you were in army and going to Iron Apple and spunking all your money, but knowing you had to be back on base, ready to rock Monday, because you'd have only done the same in Acapulco and Halifax, wouldn't you?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Loved it while it happened. Yeah. Just enjoyed every moment we could with it. To be honest, I could have actually stayed for another year in Cyprus. It's a 3-year posting, but I volunteered to short tour, which is basically just do 2 years, because I'd kind of done 2 summers. I were in shit state, skin, even though I get paid extra. And again, it was just that personal development and challenge thing about doing something different and harder and just pushing it. So that's why I sort of left there. But we're about 2010 now, and I get based down. It's just a tri-service place, this, so it's Army, Navy and RAF sort of all working in the same place. So I passed the selection, went into training there. Did the course, which was about 8 weeks. Again, completely new to everybody that's on there. It's not something you just have as a trade, or you come in, learn the course, did the course, passed the course, and then went into a squadron in the unit, and did basically pre-deployment training before you go obviously out on tour. And we were out of our course. Me and another couple of lads. We were the last ones to go out. So we saw all our people on our course, our peers, go out, do the tours, come back, and then we went out. And I think my first one doing that job. So this is my 3rd Afghan tour now, but my first one with that unit, that was November 10, I think.
Right. Fucking hell.
It's pretty spicy time in Afghan at that point. It was busy, very busy, and it was a massively intense job. Like it was I'm not big on people saying how many hours they work a day. I don't really take much credence from it, but it was like literally 15, 16 hours solid of work, and then you've got the other stuff around it, but for 4 months straight, not one day off. Christmas Day, you're doing it. You know, New Year's Day, you're in there, that sort of stuff. No days off. So we were intense but good. And again, you're in that sort of band. You know, they call it that band of brothers. It's a real cliche, but you know, cliches are there for a reason. You get close to these people, you go through it together, and so that was good.
You get close to people you work with for 12-hour shifts, never mind 16 hours, sharing a bedroom probably with them, showers with them, eating with them.
sleeping in a tent to them, next sucking in the farts and stuff.
Yeah. You're gonna get close to them, aren't you?
Yeah. So did the first tour of that as basically like an operator, and that went really well. Came back, and I remember walking into the office when we got back for like a basically like a post-deployment chat with like one of the senior NCO at the time. He's like, right lads, how'd it go? Yeah, it went really well. Okay, right, when can you go back? I'm like, fucking hell. So at this point, you know, I'm engaged, getting married, so I've come back off tour. We've had to delay the wedding by 5 months because I've gone away.
Jesus.
So we're having a Christmas wedding in April when I've got back because I've been away. And he's like, when can you go back again? I'm like, fucking hell. When do you want us to go back? He's like, 2 months. I was like, fucking hell, just done 5.
Yeah.
So I came back, got married, got her pregnant.
See ya!
and then fucked off again, basically, yeah. So yeah, went away again for like another 4 or 5 months. And this time it was working on night. I basically did nights for like 5 months. I came back like an absolute shadow of a man.
I bet you did.
Doing the same thing. So that was a 4th tour then. And then I got back. She was pretty heavily pregnant at this point. And Tommy, my first, was sort of born at the end of 2012. So no, my first tour would have been, I can't remember, times are all over the place. But yeah, he was born in 2012. I then went into an instructor role, so I started teaching the job that I was doing. So I did that for a while, and that was really good. And that's it. It's at that point put my PVR in, which is the your chit to leave. I got fucked over really, basically on promotion side. Obviously I'd never been fully promoted. I did the acting rank above for like 6 years. I kept getting fucked over on really badly written reports, loads of random stuff, because I were in Afghan not painting a fucking school wall. You know, like somebody did who were injured and fat as fuck.
Yeah.
Then I wouldn't get promoted, and I was there doing 2 tours in a year, and because it wasn't representing the RAF fully and all this, it was just loads of politics, and I thought, you know, fuck this, I'm out basically. So I just binned out. And at the same time as well, I was probably due to go out again, but obviously Tommy were around at this point, so I didn't want to go out again. So I binned out, did resettlement, and that's a process where you sort of go through, you say, I want to do this trade or that trade, and I did that process. And I did my project management qualifications as part of that, because it kind of related loosely to what I was doing in the military. But the thing is, a lot of people don't realise in the military is the very transferable skills that you get. The military is very good at making you think you don't have transferable skills to make you stay usually. So I did those qualifications, and they were rough. You know, they were pretty tough, to be fair. Exams, you know, which is a pretty intense week of a course, and then an exam at the end. But passed all those, and then I used those basically because I wanted someone to work at home. So I got those qualifications. And then got a job in London. So yeah, some missus were pleased with that. So I went to London, and I was down there working in the MOD on a project on a contractor basis then, so like not fully employed as a civvy. And I was down there for about 8 months. I was paying more to rent a bedroom than I was for my mortgage at home. It's
I can imagine.
It's crazy. Yeah, really bad. And I'm not a big fan of London. I've never been a big fan of London, to be honest. I've worked there, been there a few times, lived there, and it's just I like seeing grass. I like open space. That's why I love where we live. You know, you always come back, don't you? And I've been away everywhere, and you always end up coming back, even if it's Bradford and it's a shithole. But you always come back. So.
Do you know, obviously coming from an army background and being in Afghanistan and sort of being around and in a place where anyone and everything could be a threat, were you a bit on high alert being in somewhere like London where there's just fucking so many people? I mean, I've been to London working once, and we had a jolt around. I felt claustrophobic walking down the street.
Yeah, it is. It's mental. I don't think I ever felt like I was massively a threat. It was more, like you said about that claustrophobia side. It's weird. Like you see everyone, loads of people can switch off and they can just do it, and they're just like it's like the rat race, isn't it? You know, they're just in and out of each other and all that. And I think sometimes it's hard to sort of get in that zone, especially if you're not sort of conditioned to it, if you know what I mean. So yeah, I just didn't like that whole thing, like you said there. I'd often, if I needed to get a tube somewhere, I'd often try and walk as much as I could before having to sort of jump on a tube to do like a long stretch. Just because I didn't really like it, to be honest. And then you've got people cycling on roads, and that's fucking mental down there. So the whole thing about London, it was just not for me really. I just prefer being back up here. People are a bit more straightforward up here as well.
Yorkshire.
Yeah, you can always spot a Yorkshire person on a tube as well, because I start talking to someone and then it feels like, what the fuck are you talking to me for? That sort of thing.
So has homesick never been an issue for you then, really?
No, me and Tam worked well in that way. We always did. And it's funny, so I came back from London, like 8 months later, got a job in Bingley. And this was in financial services this time, project manager in financial services. We're working in project management, IT/project management in financial services. And I was at home then, and that's when I'd left. And I struggled with that transition of leaving because I was at home every day. I was having to do stuff at home that I wouldn't normally have to do, trying to help Tan out, and then I'm getting under her feet and annoying her, and we've got a little in as well, so I try and do as much as I can there. So I wanted to be at home, I wanted to help, I wanted to be part of it, and that was a struggle, because I didn't have that independence that you get when you're in the military, when you're with your mates and you do what you want, and if you don't want to go out, you don't. You just sit in your room, you've got your own space. You never have your own space then, do you? So that were a bit hard to transition. I didn't realise. I thought it'd be a piece of piss, but it wasn't. And a lot of people I speak to when they leave, they feel the same thing. So that was tricky, but I think what I did, that's when I sort of got into the gym. I'd always trained, I'd always tried to stay fit, especially when I went to the sort of that last unit. I was really very fit there, and that was a case of, the RAF have a reputation of being, basically because you get paid more, you get put in hotels, you get a lot of shit from like army, not as much navy, but at the army they've got a real sort of chip on their shoulder about the RAF. So a point to me to prove back to them was that I was fitter than them. If you can do it, I can fucking do it. So I did. So I'd keep up with them. I'd try and beat them as much as I could, so that I didn't get that flack. And you'd see the RAF guys who was used to being fit enough for the RAF, but probably not for like a tri-service environment, they'd get so much shit. Like, really, they would get so much shit. So I'd train 2-3 times a day just to sort of make sure I stayed up with them. And then when it came to like doing the fizz with them, I'd be in front of them, I'd be beating them, and that was a big thing. So that's where some of my fitness thing started. And then when I left and I started working at home, that's when I got into the gym a bit more, because I needed that something. That something. Work wasn't doing it, and you get sort of itchy feet. That's why I started going to the gym a bit more, and then I got into it a bit more. But then I thought, right, I need a goal. I want something to train towards, and it comes back to that pushing yourself to do that little bit more, a little bit extra, challenge. So I decided to do a natural bodybuilding competition. Did it kind of off my own back. Actually, it was just a bodybuilding competition, wasn't even a natural one. I did it off my own back and basically just starved myself into oblivion for 6 months and tried to train through it, and I was an absolute shell of a bloke. Trained every morning, 6 a.m, with a little one as well, so I was in shit state. Went to Streamline Gym up in Bradford every morning, and then competed, and I actually came 3rd out of 12 in a category which was full of guys who were assisted, basically, using anabolics, whatever. Came 3rd out of 12 in that, which was really pleasing, obviously. So then I sort of got a little bit of a bug for training. I kept training. I didn't compete again for another couple of years. But in the meantime, I did a couple more years at financial services, and then went to work away again. So I was talking to an old friend, one from right back at Lincoln, in 2005. I was talking to him, and he'd got a job installing basically an analog to digital transformation for RAF airfields, because they're really sort of archaic, or they were. I was still kind of actually still doing the project, but using like valve-driven technology to do transmitters and receivers. It's really old stuff. Massive boxes, size of this table sort of thing. So basically changing that to a really small, compact, digital, up-to-date, basically, box. So it was a big program for that. So I went to work on that. And I did that for a couple of years. And again, I got promoted in that to be a team leader. I don't think I was very good at the job, to be honest, but, smokes and mirrors and making stuff sound good. I got promoted in that as well. So.
Do you, just going back a little bit, you hear a lot about soldiers and military personnel coming out at army and then really struggling to adapt to civilian life. Do you think that were a key decision for you, choosing to focus on your training? And do you think you could have potentially struggled a lot more if you hadn't found that outlet for finding something to do?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, it wasn't something that I consciously did, but looking back, it did massively help. Like, if I'd have not started training, if I'd not stuck to it, if I hadn't been dedicated to it, if I'd have just sort of persisted in trying to just be at home and work, then yeah, it could have gone anywhere really. It could have gone really west. And I totally get it when it happens to blokes who leave now, who struggle with it. You know, some blokes are absolutely fine. You know, everyone's different, aren't they? You know, everyone's got different sort of levels and tolerance and what gets them going or done. But yeah, for me personally, it really worked out quite well in that respect. And that's why a lot of guys who come out, they still end up working away, because it's kind of what they used to, really, don't they?
Yeah. I can relate to that from working away. I still do it now. When I'm on my days off, I try cram so much in. I'm like, I'll go to the gym, I'll take our lass out for something to eat, we'll go to park with kids, I'll go see my mum, I'll go see my grandma, do this, do that. And it's because back when I worked away, I might have had 3-4 days off, and then, like yourself, being away for another month. So you try to cram everyone in and make everyone happy as quick as you can. And I still struggle now. Like, I'm at home, I work at home, but I proper relate to what you're saying there. It's just not the normal, is it, for you? You know what I mean? So I can't imagine from being in army and doing it that way. What? RAF, sorry.
Don't offend him.
Is it won't offend me, it'll offend the army. You'll be getting all the comments going, isn't that fucking army?
So you came third in your first competition.
Yeah.
It sounds to me like you've got a massive competitive streak in you. Well, your competitive side here, I've come third. If I just, maybe next time I can come second, or maybe next time I come first.
Yeah. And like I'm really happy with third as well. You know,
Yeah.
guys,
It's a massive achievement.
Yeah. Well, and because I didn't have a coach, you know, I did it all off my own back from reading Google and forums. But back then it were forums. You know what I mean? There wasn't really much going on in terms of what else. So reading forums and stuff like that to get hints, tips, approaches, that sort of stuff. Watching posing videos online on YouTube and stuff, and try to practice all that sort of shit. Find out how to do. It sounds daft, like how to do your tan.
Yeah.
It's a big thing, you know. You're in competitions, you're trying to find out how to do that properly. So yeah, it was good. And it kept me going on the side. And when I worked away again, you know, I was all over this point. I was middle of Wales. I was bloody Cornwall, East Anglia. You worked everywhere. It was, and usually RAF airfields are in the middle of fucking nowhere. So you know, you were all over the place. So you were finding gyms anywhere. I trained in a barn in Wales for months, and it was literally a barn with some really old school kit in there that a guy done for a hobby. He dropped £1 in an old butter box on way in, that sort of gym. It was this point though, because I was travelling so much, I started planning my own gym. I said, Tanya remembers it vividly, like I rang and I said, look, I've got an idea, we're going to open a gym. Right, okay, right, whatever, that sort of thing. She's like, right, okay, well, just let me know. So I started basically to try and fill the time. You know, you were doing like 6-hour drives, just podcasts, listening to podcasts, much like this one. People have done it before or whatever. I listened to one actually, it's called Startup. Have you heard of Gimlet? It's like a media company. They do loads of podcasts, podcasting company. But he did a podcast of him starting that company. Yeah. And it's really good actually, it's really interesting. And it was like 8 episodes long, but it went through the process of, you know, how you don't sleep at night because you're thinking about it, what to do, set up, how to get finances, business planning, this sort of stuff, all this stuff. Because you find it out yourself really as you're doing it. And I didn't have a coach to set up the business. I just started business planning on the night because I didn't want to, you know, in a hotel, you train, you eat, and then you sit on your bed and watch Netflix, and that's it. You know,
it's a lonely place, isn't it?
Yeah. So and it really annoyed me. Like I'd watch Netflix for like 10 minutes, like this is fucking shit, I'm bored. So I try to keep my brain busy basically. So I started business planning. Got like a template offline, started filling that out, then got in touch with a company called Startup Launch Company who work with ex-forces. Got some stuff off them in terms of templates, really filled it out. And I went to like the nth degree. If I had my laptop, I could tell you the percentage of people between 31 and 50 and low more that smoke, that are active. And I could tell you the percentage of people between sort of 50 and 64 that train, that actively that are active but have health problems. You know, I went to the
That's
nth degree in
brilliant.
researching
That is brilliant,
what
isn't
the
it?
market was.
Yeah.
Identified the area because, you know, you've got gyms in Whipsey, which is sort of 2 miles up. You've got gyms
Halifax
sort
Road.
of down White Brighouse, but nothing in between really. And you've got a massive sort of pull there in terms of sort of BD6, BD12 and around.
I'll
So
stop.
it's a
Sorry,
good
I'll
place
stop
to
you there
plonk it.
because that's one thing that brought me to train at that gym. As you both know, well, I believe I've gone into it. Like I've gone from working away to having a company car to dropping to one car at home and working pretty much on the end of my street.
Yeah.
And ideally, your gym is at the top of that street. So
Yeah.
that is what brought me to you, and I'm quite glad that I did now because it's a very good gym and lovely staff, and like yourself, Tanya, very easy and approachable to get on with. So, and now you're sat here helping us out here. So, yeah.
Can I just ask, going back a little bit, why bodybuilding, why weightlifting, why didn't you decide I'm going to go start running, or, you know, of all things you could have decided to do, why were you straight away, this is what I'm going to do, I'm going to lift weights and go towards bodybuilding, and was there a reason, or?
So I'd got into sort of it was actually in Cyprus when I was based in Cyprus, and I used to live with a lad called Danny Jackson, and we'd train. We basically, and I knew him from my Waddington time, so Lincoln. So, and I was going over, so I basically just moved in with him, and we'd literally train Monday to Friday, get pissed Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday, and then train and just rinse and repeat. So I got into training. Basically, he got me into training. His dad used to train, so he started training. He got into training, and I started training with him, and I enjoyed that. That was like a thing to do as an enjoyment. Running, tabbing, circuits, that sort of stuff. That was something that was always sort of forced upon you to do. Do you know what I mean? Like you always had, as in like for your phys, your PT, that's what you had to do. You were forced to do it, and you know you were following some string, you know, some racing snake PTI around bloody country roads or whatever. So that was more like sort of seen like a chore, whereas the training and the weightlifting stuff was more like a hobby, just something you enjoyed doing. You could have a crack, you could have a chat, you know, you can push yourself on the weights a bit more. You see results as well, obviously over time. You see results as well. So I did that because I enjoyed it more. I can run. I went for my first run the other day, actually, after about 10 years. I was fucked. But it's not something I massively enjoy compared to training. I think it's the social side, really. Do you know what I mean? But bodybuilding is the most unhealthy thing you can do. It's horrendous. Like, you know,
Blood pressure out your head.
yeah, it's just it's just a weird old sport. It's like people trying to look the tip top best aesthetic, giving people something to aim towards. But honestly, it's horrendous. Like, you're starving, your mood's low, your energy's low, you're not productive. You can't be really that social either. You know, you can't really do much socially. It's so bad.
If it's any consolation to you, I don't do bodybuilding, and you've pretty much just described me, so I don't think it's just bodybuilding.
But yeah, I'm never doing it again. I've done 3 competitions in total. Is it 3? Yeah, 3 competitions in total. 4. Came third, won one. Is in my category. I didn't win the whole thing. Won my category, and then came like second to last and like third in another. And I was like, I'm done with this now. You know, the gym opened as well, 2018, December 18. So
We'll get back to where you are.
Yeah, so we basically, I started that business planning, and that was like February 18. I probably started doing that. No, it's probably a bit earlier actually, sort of January 18. I'd been thinking about it for a couple of months, started planning properly sort of January, February 18. Got a bit further with it. We got the name, got the idea. And again, the idea, the name, the Pride Gym, it's just one of those things that came to me randomly on a random road going to a fucking random airbase. And I was rang Tanya, I've had an idea. The Pride Gym, like Lions, you know, community, pretty relatable to a gym, that sort of thing. So, all right, yeah, that sounds good. So that was the name. Just one of those random things that came to me as I was driving. And then we registered it in April 18. Basically got the funding provisionally approved, like July 18, that sort of thing. But we had to get it from I did this with no money saved up, by the way, the gym, no money at all. So we've got a big loan to borrow. A lad I was in the RAF with, he came in as like a silent partner and put some money in as well. So there was us two basically as like the founding people for the gym, and Tanya obviously. So then we found a unit. So the unit we've got now on Abscott Lane wasn't the original unit we wanted. The original one is one that's attached that you drive around as you go around the back.
Okay.
Yeah. So we looked at that, but there wasn't any parking with it. So it was a bit of a nightmare. We needed the parking. So we had a look at the unit we've got now, and it had a car park, albeit it's always full now.
Yeah,
We've had to use the overflow at the back. So we got that. We thought, yeah, we can make this work. We agreed the lease. I remember that process was quite elongated in making sure we had that agreed. And then we got the lease agreed. We got the keys in October 18, and then I think it was within about 7 weeks, we were open.
Wow.
And that's not using trades. That's me, Tanya, a dad mainly, and then some of my sort of dad and my family chipping in and just busting us balls really to get it working. You know, like we were knocking double skin breeze block walls down ourselves with just a sledgehammer. It was fucking hard graft, like some long old days. And then we had some good tradesmen to help us do things like stud walling, that sort of stuff that needed to be right, that we couldn't bodge because we bodged everything else basically. Yeah. So, but it looks mint, and then it looked really good. And then when we opened, you've got to remember, like, because of my project management stuff, I planned this to the nth degree. I had a project plan, I had everything, finances, delivery dates, the lot. And we've managed to execute it really well, better than any one I've done in a private company, by the way. Like, managed to execute it really well. Got the gym open on time, got the kit literally the day before, after arguing tooth and nail for a delivery company to release it. Managed to get the kit in literally the day before. And then when we opened, I think we must have had like 20 bits of kit.
Yeah.
Like, it was, we were happy with it, we were proud of it. We knew we wanted to expand and do more, but when we look back now, we're like, fucking hell, it's sparse.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And it was 5,500 square foot at that point. So then we did a good year. We just added a few bits of kit in here and there when we got a little bit of money. We added a few bits of kit in. And we probably finished that first 12 months on around about 300 members, probably, which we're really happy with. I always remember used to, like, as a team, with the staff, because we had staff working as well, we'd always set ourselves little targets. And I always remember that 200 mark. We'd get to 199, then it got to 198, 197, 198, 199, 197. You see like those little landmarks. Honestly, it must have took us 4 weeks to finally get 200. And I was like, thank fuck for that. And then obviously we just kept going. And then March 20, we were probably up to around about 400 members after, the whole New Year thing in 2020. So we'd been sort of 13, 14 months down the line. And then by about, 15 months later, obviously, COVID came about. And
the big C.
Yeah, the big C, put a massive spanner in the works.
Massive. And it bugs me so much. Like, we all got offered vaccines. We all got offered advice in sensor. Fucking don't lick tables and don't talk to your mum and all the rest of it.
Yeah. Go for a walk, but only for an hour a day.
Go for a walk only for an hour a day because you need to stay active. But what we'll do is we'll shut all exercise outlets down.
Yeah.
I can't imagine as a business owner, a gym owner, how frustrating it must have been. Stood there with everything in front of you that you've done yourself, knowing that the one thing that could help everyone is exercise. You've got it there to offer on a plate, and they're saying no, close your doors. Where does your thought process even start when you get that phone call?
It was weird. It wasn't even like a phone call. It was the same as everyone else.
News, wasn't it?
Yeah, you just saw a news conference and telling you you're not opening tomorrow. And it was literally as quick as that. If you remember, like it was tomorrow is your last day. You're closed. So you got to think. Obviously, our first thought, and that it's just the first priority, and always has been for our gym, is the members, like, and the experience. So we tried to make sure we contacted everyone we could as best we could, sending emails out, and we were a small independent family business, or still are small independent family business, who relied on these payments to keep the lights on, you know what I mean, to people to pay their memberships. Like, the funding you got off the government wouldn't have really covered a great deal. The landlord still wants paying. You know, he's still going to get his rent, and he still wants his rent. And for a unit that size, you know, it's a fair whack. So, you know, we had to sort of almost go cap in hand to people and say, look, if you can afford it, please, can you carry on paying the memberships? If you can't, totally understand. You know, no questions asked. We can just freeze it. You know, we'll freeze your payments. And then I think it's a real sort of hair standing up moment that from that sort of 400, probably 300 carried on paying memberships for something they couldn't get access to. And I think that spoke volumes for the work that Tanya had done, because I was still working away at this point. I think it spoke volumes for the work that Tanya had done and the staff, and sort of translating what I wanted the gym to be to members for them to carry on paying, you know. So obviously they've done a great job of that. And I was there as much as I could and got to know people as much as I could, but I wasn't there as much as the staff and Tanya and stuff. So that helped us like massively just pay the bills. Basically, you get like a grant, like 10 grand, which didn't really go very far, you know. And that were another thing that was a little bit annoying, was if you had a 25 square foot business, it's 10 grand.
Yeah.
If you've got a 25,000 square foot business, it's 10 grand.
Yeah.
There were no real like rationale or sort of thinking about it. It was just like a blanket number. Don't get me wrong, it could have been worse, it could have been nothing, it could have been 5 grand, but I think it was a bit ill thought and rushed, that one.
Well, anyway. Definitely shit planned, wasn't it? Because I'm sure people that were still able to work still got it.
Yeah.
There were no proof.
No, I had a beauty. There was a guy who owned holiday lets, but had them all registered as separate businesses. So he had like 80 holiday lets.
No.
So he got 800 grand basically in funding. In funding for a holiday let, right? That had no utilities or use outside of, well, you know, when we were locked down. But then when he reopened, he's doubled or tripled his prices because you can't go abroad.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So he's creamed in a beauty, really. That's it was just that sort of thing, right? And I know resources are limited, and there's only so much you can do. But you know, we took it and we used it and we paid some rent, and then obviously you get the furlough payments. But you've got staff that are getting paid 80% of the wage, then, you know, so it's tough for them. And there's only so much you can do, really. So we managed to sort of struggle through the first sort of few months of it, and then my thought process all the way through was, even if we come out of this, because people still pay memberships, with any extra money, that's not going to get pocketed, that's going to get spent back into the gym. And that was always the case. So that's when we did the first extension. So we used that money to make a better space for classes, functional training, and then bigger cardio area. So, and that massively helped us, so, you know, the Lions Den area.
The Lions Den, yeah.
So we created an extra sort of 2,000 square foot area, which was but basically like a big matted area with a rig, and then a variety of sort of kettlebells, slam balls,
bars,
you know, bars, that sort of stuff. It's like a basic, like almost like a CrossFit area, but not fully CrossFit. So we made that space basically using any sort of money we had left, and we actually had to borrow a bit more to do it. And we did that. So we had March to about July, I think, was it?
Oh, yeah,
July. Yeah, about July.
Well, there were that dog shit rule, weren't they? If you're circumcised, you can go train. If you're not, you have to stay at home. That sort of dog shit rule, wasn't it? You can go to a gym as long as you buy a coffee or whatever else.
Yeah. So we had a few months, and then in that period we managed to refurb that. And it was the landlord's old garage, and it was full of like tractors and like some really old, you know, like you see those storage hunter programs. I've had a field day in there, like finding some stuff, like proper old stuff. And we managed to clear it out, new windows, did all the floors, got it painted, made it look really nice. And then we opened for about a month, and then we had another lockdown. And again, you go through the whole process again. Then it's fucking contacting members, and then you've got loads of cancellations again and stuff like that. But I think what went into the local lockdown sense. Do you remember that bullshit?
So
this is
I think I were referring to that then.
Yeah, so this is where I went like, I went a little bit militant at this point, because I was like, no, this is bullshit now.
Yeah.
This is a lot of shit, because Bradford was the only council at the time. Liverpool did it later, and that's where a lot of people saw it. But Bradford at the time was the only place in a local lockdown to close gyms. So you couldn't go to our gym. You could travel 2 minutes down the road to Bailiff Bridge and train there.
Yeah.
But no difference. You know what I mean? All you're doing is crossing a postcode area. There's no, COVID don't know.
Yeah, that's it. yeah.
You know what I mean? So,
Wasn't it that time as well where you couldn't go to your gym, but you could go buy one, get one free in Wetherspoons?
Meals, yeah.
Yeah. So,
Eat out
so
12 pound.
full VAT relief on food and sort of those outlets, food outlets basically. Yeah. So they get full VAT relief, no matter the size of the company. I'd have been a bit more sympathetic if it had been like small food and retail businesses get VAT free. But, your massive chains are all getting VAT free as well. And I've just had my VAT bill and it absolutely fucks you big time.
Yeah.
Like, it's a stinker, absolute stinker. So the gym's never had that, never had any sort of relief from a tax point of view, which I think is another load of shit, really. Because the amount of money they could save the NHS strain, that sort of stuff, put it back into fitness, health, that sort of thing. Anyway, long story. So we had the local lockdowns, and that's when I went a bit militant because of that sort of postcode area thing that they had going on. Bear in mind, like you say, you could go to a pub, you could go have a meal, you could do literally everything. You could go to hairdressers, you could do the lot, but you couldn't go to the gym. So that's when I started challenging the CEO of Bradford Council and the head of Bradford Council. So one of them's Chris, I can't remember the name now, the other one's Susan Hinchliffe. And I was literally ringing their office every day. Give me the data, give me the science behind your decision. I was doing freedom of information requests. I was on ITV News, BBC News, The Pulse. I wrote an open letter to Judith Cummings, Matt Hancock, Boris Johnson, and all those. I wrote an open letter to all them asking for why. Why is it, we've been closed?
Did you get any response?
So eventually Judith Cummings picked up on it, and fair play to her, that's our local MP. She came and visited the gym. I showed her the measures so we had that period of opening, remember, and then we got closed again. Showed her the measures we'd put in place, stickers about spacing, we'd spaced out kit. You remember we taped the whole gym? We taped out squares for the fucking distancing shit. So we did all that, moved all the kit around, made that work, showed her all that. And she then had the idea of, I do a one-person petition. So literally a petition signed by me only with the open letter. And she took that and she read that at the Houses of Parliament.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And because it's addressed to Matt Hancock, he had to respond to it. So it got responded to. And then, lo and behold, a week later, it got lifted with the council then. So it got to the point, in the meantime, by the way, I'm calling them all out publicly, right? So all these media agencies are then going to council and stuff. The council then come out and say, "Oh, it's the government." The government are then saying it's the council, and I'm in the middle, like, what the fuck is going on? You know what I mean? So eventually, they all sort of got swept under the carpet a bit. But I'll never forgive the council for that.
No, I can imagine it being annoying for you as well, being on where yours is on Abscott Road, the bottom of Abscott Lane, looking onto the road that leads you to Bailiff Bridge.
Yeah.
Where probably your members are driving past your gym to go to another gym.
Yeah.
Like, no offence to that gym. They've fucking done not wrong, but apart from being in a different postcode.
Yeah, and we had, and not that gym you're talking about in Bailiff Bridge, but we had other gyms in the areas, especially sort of Brighouse areas, that were they were going onto our Instagram, looking at our followers.
No.
And started contacting people about memberships and stuff.
Is it 2 letters, that gym?
Yeah.
Dirty bastards.
Yeah, really we messaged them about it, and they were like,
yeah.
no. Anyway, they stopped after that. So.
Fucking hell.
Yeah.
Wow.
So we had that period, and that were probably one of the rougher periods for me. I'd be laid in bed at midnight, I'd be reading articles, I'd be googling stuff, I'd be looking at published articles, I'd be going through people's websites, I'd be reading science stuff. Because I went like ham on like the science stuff and all the the mental health benefits and the cost and loads of different stuff like that. And then it sort of engulfed me a little bit, and we managed to get it back open again. And literally as we opened it, I just said to Tan, like, I don't even want to go into the gym now. Like, I feel like I've managed to get it up. I just want to leave it for people to enjoy it and just chill now. So fucked.
Yeah, because COVID for you, you weren't just going through it like Joe Public. You were going through it, going through the COVID restrictions and as a business owner as well, weren't you?
Yeah.
So yeah, you're fucking double whammy really there, aren't you?
And at this point, I'm still working full time as well.
Right.
So I had a job as a project
Jesus.
manager in Leeds. So working from home, trying to do that, and that were high stress because we had a project that was with some suppliers in America, so we're on calls till stupid o'clock in the morning all the time, and it got to November 20. What are we in now? 23. So yeah, November 20. I took a massive. I did try to crunch loads of numbers, and I just took probably the big. I've always taken risks. Always about risk for me, but balancing that risk in terms of risk reward. Likeliness, severity, that sort of stuff. I took probably the biggest risk I've ever done is probably leave that full-time job and then go full-time at the gym.
Yeah.
So basically, remember that first period when we opened, we went from 400 members, we dipped down to about 250, and we came back up to about 650. We had a massive burst after COVID, when people had been locked up, they wanted to get into the gym, which was great. And we'd obviously done the extension, so we could kind of accommodate it a bit more. We had that massive burst, and obviously we had a lockdown again, so you just get stagnated. And honestly, I think we had we had those fire breaks. You had another month, too, in December, November, and all that sort of shit. So as we came out of that, I thought, right, I was going to go full time and just try and grow the gym as much as possible. So I did, went full time, started working and did the morning shifts for a while. And then just did as much as I could in terms of growing the gym and getting people in the gym. And that's where we introduced Project U, the group training program to use the space a bit more. And that's been really rewarding in terms of results. You see, it's a result-driven service, and you see people like literally telling you you've transformed their life with it. And that's mega. Like, having a gym as an access to get fit, and that model is good. And you get to know people and you see people, but they've got to do everything else off their own back. Whereas when you're doing that extra service for them, you do working hard, and obviously they're paying for the extra service as well. But when you get the results, that's what's really
I bet,
good and rewarding.
You can see that you've changed someone's life. Yeah.
And from a business point of view, like you offering it and physical, visual results, it sells itself after that.
Yeah, it does. Yeah. It's great. Like, we've got a few on his socials, but that's like 0.5% of what we get. Most people don't want to point out there, even though some really, really good ones.
Yeah,
but which is fair enough. So grew that, and then again took probably the next biggest risk, which was doing the big extension.
Yeah.
So we're just like, I thought we were getting to like a bit of a tipping point. We were busy. You know what I mean? And for the size of the gym, it was getting a bit tight. We froze memberships at one point and then reopened them. And so Tanya basically runs the gym day to day. Like, there won't be no gym without Tanya. That makes that absolutely clear. And she was like, Tez, it's fucking rammed.
Yeah.
And I'm like, good. I'm like, I hate it being there when it's rammed. I like it when it's nice and chilled. But she was there on the night time and saw it a lot, and I just kind of did the early stuff, she did the later stuff, and she's like, we need to do something about it. So we started planning the extension. We'd spoke to Dave, who's got the carpet place around the corner, and he was looking to downsize anyway. And he had this big unit, and it was literally just storing like house clearance stuff that he was just sort of subletting out. We thought, we could probably make this work. So I went through the whole financial borrowing process basically to make it work. And we managed to extend through, and that again, I think that took us 8 to 10 weeks to fully do. And again, minimal sort of help from subcontractors apart from stuff we couldn't do, studwing, flooring, electrics. But again, got really good guys in for that.
Any members?
And members, yeah, we did. We had people in there sort of ripping carpets up, knocking walls down with us. We had one guy, John Mack, he was in there probably 3-4 days a week helping us out. Wow. It's mega. Can't do it without those people. So, really, really good. And it's working. Yeah, it's working. I probably naively thought, I might be one of those build it and they will come. It's finally getting there. It's been like nearly a year now. Is it? Yeah, it's been about 9 months. And it's just keeps building basically, which is great. And I think we can accommodate a lot more now. So
Yeah.
it just feels a bit more comfortable. It just relieve that pressure. Makes things a bit easier. Going on cardio a bit easier. You're not on top of weights.
Yes.
Because you've got that sort of like that decompression zone with the class area as well, the cafe area as well, which obviously helps as well. So, yeah.
I think it's good that you're willing to take risk because, judging by what you've just said there, having so many members rammed out, you could have potentially started losing members, couldn't you, due to it just being so busy.
No, there were people saying, you know, when you're getting members telling you that, you're like, right, okay, yeah, I probably do need to do something about it. It's tricky because like most gyms that are worth the salt, between 4:30 and 6:30, they're going to be busy.
Yeah.
You know, you can't get away from it really. People want good kit, quality kit, and a good atmosphere. And I think, you know, we tick all those boxes. So it is going to get busy. But at the same time, we need to counter that by making it a good experience. So it's a tricky balance to find, really.
You don't want too many egos in there, do you?
No.
Especially at that 6 o'clock time where you've got people leaving work and whatever else. They want a comfortable session. And
yeah, and that's where Tanya's great and comes in, because she'll bring anyone down a peg or two.
Yeah.
You've probably seen it.
Obviously, after COVID, you had to wipe all your equipment down, and she wasn't scared at all at throwing a wet flannel at you. If you'd forgotten, if you didn't have a wet flannel, I'll never forget it. I made sure, first thing I did, I had it in my hand at all time. I won't get a wet flannel thrown at me. But she won't, no matter how big or small they were, she was launching a flannel at them if they didn't have one on them. It was brilliant.
Yeah, see it now, like she's... she'll go up to anyone and have a go. She doesn't give a shit.
Good.
Yeah, give a shit.
It's good because it gets rid of dickheads as well, doesn't it?
Yeah.
If you don't like it, do one sort of.
Yeah, and that's another thing that's perfect course. Like it literally says on the website, no knobheads. We've got a no knobhead rule, and it's on the website. And we tell everybody that as well. You know, the rules of the gym are you put your weights away and you don't be a knobhead, and that is literally the rules. Because you know, we'll clean it, we'll make it spotless, and we try his best to keep it really fucking clean. But you know, you do your bit as well.
Yeah.
And like we have actually banned probably about 8 people in last year.
That's good.
Yeah, not that we want to.
No,
but
not good as in like business, but I mean good. Yeah, well, overall it will be good for business.
Well, yeah. If you don't toe the line.
Yeah, exactly. Speaking of putting weights away, our lass has a few friends they train at a gym not far from here. It's got a word and then 2 numbers.
Yeah.
So she had like this 3-day trial thing, and she was like, "Will you come with me?" I'm like, yeah, of course will. She never goes to the gym, and her mates go there for classes or whatever else. And I went in, dog shit playlist on. And I said, "It's no." I just said, "It's no from me." And she wasn't trying to get me there with her. What she wanted was just a bit of comfort to have a look about. Yeah. So anyway, looking about, did this session with her. I said, "I certainly won't be moving here." She went, "Why? What's up with you?" I went, "There's fucking weights everywhere." And I mean everywhere. Yeah. And it was just like where there were treadmills, there were little 2.5s, even probably 3 kg, 2.5 kg dumbbells just behind treadmill. It's like it's not a 45. You know what I mean? You're not moving the earth. Just move them, put them away. Yeah. And it is like that rule at your gym where it's put your weights away. It just makes life easy.
Yeah, she spends half her life on CCTV time. Yeah. You know, if they've left the gym, she'll take a screenshot, she'll send them it. And you know, there's a lad called Leon comes into the gym. He's like, honestly, every time Tanya's name pops up, I shit myself. she's always getting done for it. But yeah, like even like the dumbbells in the right order, that's a massive thing for us. Like, you don't want to be going, right, I've got a 2.5, I need to go 10 meters to find another 2.5, or you know, just random, just put them back in order.
Yeah.
Do it all the time.
It sounds like you've built a community basically, as much as you've opened a gym and you've set up a business. It sounds to me, I mean, I have to say, it's appealed to me plenty of times as your gym. I've never been, I'll be honest with you, but even looking from when you were locked down and everyone carried on paying the membership, and then people probably froze the membership and came back, and everyone looks after it, and it just sounds to me like that's what you've built more than a business. You've built a community of people that are all at the same mindset, all looking, you know, for greater good of things. And I use council gym up here, Sedgeburg, and that's one thing that's missing there. You say hello to odd people that you know, but there's no community vibe at all, really. You know what I mean?
It's good because like it's nice to be studying gym sometimes. You look around and there's different people who've never met before, but they're having a chat in gym. It happened earlier today. You know, there were two guys talking about CrossFit and competitions they'd never met before. Saw each other training a similar style, started talking. Yeah. Not about doing a competition together now. Wow. You know, CrossFit. So it's just great. Just like but even just like the guys who just help each other out, give each other a spot, that sort of thing. There's loads and loads of people I've got to know each other now. We've got Damo's got married, he met her in the gym. You know what I mean? So
what, in Pride?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah. We've had loads of relationships. We've had loads of failed relationships come from Pride as well. But you know, that's probably the most successful one, Damo and Kirsty as well. So but it's good in that respect as well. That there's no perverts, like no one's going to try and hit on people if it's a gym, by the way. But it's just good that people can get on and talk to each other and stuff like that. It's really nice. And like we have a Christmas do as well. We had a Christmas do up at Arrow Club up the road. And there were like 100 people there, just getting levered with each other.
That's so good. That's one thing that I need it really for my training, and I can't get it up there. But a lot of my training, obviously, I love speaking to people. But I take so much advice off of people. Like, I wish when I were training day to day, people would stop me and say, look, if you do it this way, it's going to help you a bit more. Or, you know, advice and point out where you could be going wrong and how you could do things better. Because for me, like, with sport that I do, it's completely independent sport. Like, I can't really get a coach for it. I do ultra marathons. And, like, at present, over winter, I've been trying to do strength and conditioning, which I've got a fair idea of, but because I've no one really guiding me through it, I can be lapsy-daisy, and it's just been easy for me some days where I can't be arsed chucking weights around and I can't be arsed doing lunges because I don't fucking want to.
No one likes doing lunges.
I can just go on the treadmill and run for fucking 15 mile, and then it's like, I've done my exercise today, but it's definitely not what I need to be doing over winter. So now I'm in a place where, well, I've probably gathered a little bit of strength over winter, but conditioning-wise, I haven't achieved fucking anything close to what I wanted to do. And like you say, you guys have got that in abundance down there, just in because you've got that community.
Yeah. I mean, it's like everyone's. The good thing about the gym is everyone's coming in for a different reason. We've got guys who come in and they're not even that bothered about training. They're just coming for a chat sometimes.
That's me.
Honestly, people come in sometimes and they'll stand at the desk for 20 minutes talking. They'll go do like 3 exercises, like barely even get the heart rate up, come back, chat for 20 minutes more and leave, which is fine. Just get some out, get some chatting, feel better.
I'll be honest, my training, my mentality on training has dropped since COVID. Yeah. Like before, I loved it, and now, like, don't get me wrong, I enjoy it, but not half. I don't know why. I feel like I need someone, but then again, it's just I don't know what it is. I think it just like through COVID for like fucking 6 months, I've just been doing dumbbell raises or whatever in my front room. Fucking, I don't know. I go to maintain.
Training at home, though.
Yeah, I go to maintain now. I don't want to break any records or all like that, but I enjoy it when I'm there. It's getting there and then doing any extras or all like that. It's just not for me. I need a built up arse, but
I've never had a training partner, me, and that's because I'm just fucking reclusive weirdo. But do you know Sarah Fern?
Yeah, she comes to us,
Yeah, so I did a session with Sarah the other week. Did one exercise for about 2 hours. She would not let me stop until I got it absolutely perfect. But I have never, ever had such an enjoyable session. Just someone stood there with me, doing it with me. Yeah. No competition at all, you know what I mean? Well, you know Sarah. She's an absolute perfectionist when it comes to what she's showing you. And at the end of it, we did a You Go, I Go. Yeah. Fucking hell. Could I move? She's at the end of it, I'm sat on bench slumped over with my bottle of water. Sarah's there with phone taking pictures and laughing and smiling. I thought, this is exactly what I need, you know what I mean? Yeah. It's a massive difference. So I think something we should touch on, seeing as we've been over lockdown and we've been over the gym opening. really your views on health and fitness, and it's something we seem to touch on every podcast. And you know, one thing we want people to be able to do is watch. Not watch this. Listen, and maybe take away a little thing. And I think the way that we always go about it is to that person that sat at home on couch with a fucking bottle of pop in their hand, ready to put Netflix on. As a gym owner and let's say a fairly professional sportsman in your bodybuilding, how can we get across to people how important it is, whether it's to go for a walk or whether it's to come to your gym, not train, maybe just for the first time have a cup of coffee.
Just sign up, yeah.
Just can you try explain to people, whether it's scientifically or from a fitness side of things, how important it is for people to just get up and take that first step? Because I lose myself trying to get this through to people by pure frustration.
Yeah, obviously I can't bring the science out on hand. There is so much out there to say about the benefits of physical training to your mental health. So physical health and mental health, obviously it's all linked. Health is health, you know, whether it's mental or physical. Correct. But it's all encompassing and it all complements each other, obviously. So, you know, if your mental health deteriorates, usually your physical health deteriorates, and vice versa. If your physical health improves, your mental health's going to improve, that sort of thing. So in terms of how important it is, I'd say it's massive, and we see it a lot. And I think one of the big things for people is getting out of a rut. You know, if somebody's in a rut, they're stuck and getting started, and they delay it, and you procrastinate. It gets harder sometimes to get out of that. So I think one of the big things I'd say is just to snap out of that is just commit to something small. Don't commit to a bodybuilding competition. Don't commit to doing a CrossFit competition. Don't commit to an ultra marathon, for example. You know, just commit to something small, and that it's all about progression. We talk about it a lot on our programs. You know, progression can come in many forms. You don't have to be like you lift a heavier weight. It could be just you lift it better. You know, you're not eating 2.5 litres of water a day, you're doing half. Let's just get 750 ml a day. That's progress. Progressing from sitting on the couch having a bottle of poppies, getting up off the couch and walking for 10 minutes, and come back feel, you know, I did that. I feel better for myself. I'd say so. You've heard about goal setting, aren't you? Smart, all that stuff, making things realistic, achievable, targetable, that sort of stuff. Set yourself goals that are achievable, basically, and increment them. And just do one at a time. I'm going to go for a 10-minute walk. I did that. All right, sound. All right, that wasn't that bad. All right, what am I going to do next? I'm going to visit a gym. I'm going to have a look. I'm not going to train. I'm going to walk around. I'm going to walk through the door. And that's the big thing we try and take out. You know, that anxiety of walking through a gym door. We try and take it out a lot for people. We do gym tours. We do a lot of showing inside the gym, trying to bust myths. You know, gyms these days aren't spitting sawdust. It's not clanging weights. It's not Ronnie Coleman shouting, "Yeah, buddy," as he squats 1,000 pounds. Yeah, buddy.
Wish it were.
But yeah, wish it were. A lot of us do, but it's just not that. You know, it's just not that at all. So I think that, you know, doing that, basically just doing those little steps, committing to sort of visiting a gym, walking through the door, asking about memberships. That's a massive step. Yeah, you get a feel for the place, walk around, things are accessible these days on your phone. Back in the day, walking through, knowing what's inside a gym, you'd have to walk inside to see it. Now you can do it sat on that couch with that bottle of pop. You can look inside and get a feel for a place. It don't have to be our gym. It could be any gym. You know, it could be Sedgeburg. It could be one down the road in Brighouse. It could be on Halifax Road. It could be anywhere.
But mostly Pride.
Yeah. But basically, it's just getting up and getting inside, or even just sending a message. You know, you could sit there. You send a message. You send a message. You've partly committed there. You know, you've shown willing. Don't be afraid of that. That's fine. You know, we do it. We see it a lot. So with the programs, obviously, we do a lot of adverts and we run them all on social media stuff. We've got it's a little bit of a catch where if you want to sort of do the application, you just got to put your basic details in to get there. But that's when we've got you as a lead then, and that's when you get a text message. Yeah. So you get that text message like, oh shit. Before they've even done the application, you know, when do you want to call? That's where we do a lot of triages. Half of people reply, half of people won't. Those half that have replied, we class them as people that have subliminally committed. They want to do something.
Yeah.
So if we can just give them a call, put them at ease, answer their anxieties, you know, they've took a big step. And we'll still call the people that war anyway and just try and find out what their anxieties are. But I think the main thing for people, and the advice in the original question, is just set small, achievable goals and you'll see the benefit. And it's not just that you do a 10-minute walk, oh, I physically feel better. You probably won't even notice a difference. But what you'll do is you've achieved something, so mentally you'll feel better. And then it's about doing that again and just increasing it and progressing. And as long as you're progressing, you're beating what you did last time, you're making yourself better. That's the main thing.
I think what you were saying there, like, don't come up to your gym to train, just come up. You say you've got a cafe area now.
Yeah.
Just coming in and sitting down and having a coffee and maybe a chat with you or your wife, Tanya, and just being in that environment and around people who've already adapted to that mindset of I'll get up at fucking whatever time, and even though I don't want to, I think that does you world of good. Like,
Yeah.
it's like, I always use analogy, if you hang around with 10 people that drink 7 days a week, then there's a good chance you're going to end up drinking, you know what I mean? And I think I try keep myself around people that have got good mentality and sort of positive outlook on getting shit done, basically, because I know I can easily. But no, I think it's absolutely brilliant what you're doing. Moving forward, looking to the future of yourself, Tanya, she sounds like she's the biggest part of all this, to be honest, and the gym. What are your sort of aspirations for yourselves and your business moving forward?
So the gym itself is going through like a consolidation phase now. Obviously, to do what we've done, we've took risks, we've borrowed. We need to start just being a business and paying that off in the short term. The future within 5 years is obviously more facilities. Now, whether that's a gym or whether that's a group PT facility, it's probably going to be the latter. We'll wait and see. But it's about not standing still, really. For us personally, it's not standing still. Like Tanya's unbelievably driven. Like, she gets annoyed if she feels like she's had a bit of a stagnant day, if she feels she's not achieving something off their own back. And that's a big thing for Tanya, is achieving something off her own back. So for me personally, it's supporting her doing that, and that's a big thing. At the side, I'm trying to spin more plates as I can. I've set up a car charging EV business with a friend, and that's gone from within a week being car chargers to car charging and solar. So, you know.
What's that then? Getting the units built and putting them out there for people to charge the cars, or is this for
Installing them?
Right.
Yeah, installing car charging points. Yeah. So we're going through a website build process at the minute. I want to get the website right before we go on like a big launch. We've done like a bit of a soft one, so we're out there doing quotes, and we've got a couple of probably big commercial jobs hopefully coming off as well. So that's good. But mainly it's going to be commercial and domestic sort of car charging points, and then solar as well, because it can all integrate. So it's all hand in hand, if that makes sense.
What's the company name?
Go Green at EV.
Go Green at EV. Well, like you said, we'll plug everything for you when we're done.
Give it a tag.
Yeah. So doing that, so building that side of the business as well, and just keeping ourselves busy. Often you find, so one thing I struggle with sometimes is organising my thoughts, like my to-do lists on my phone. I have notes on your phone. I use that for my to-do list. It's like that long. It's fucking massive. And the stuff that's been down at the bottom for like 3-4 months now, I just don't get around to it. So it's just getting myself organised is one of my main things. I've set myself up a weekly calendar, so I should know what I'm doing hour by hour. It's following, that's a big thing. I need to try and start actually following it. I've done it. I did it for about 2 weeks, and I'm like, just do what I want again. But yeah, that's the main thing. Short term is gym, consolidate, grow internally, and then externally, more locations, and then other interests on the side, started developing them as well.
Okay, now. So you're a dad, you're an husband, you're a multiple business owner. What's your training regime, and how the hell do you fit in?
So it's funny you say that. Like, my training's gone to shit, like really bad. I actually joined a gym in Keighley, NRG. It's a gym over in NR Gym. It's in Keighley. Because I know the owners there. I got to know them through COVID. Like, got to know a lot of people for random reasons. Really nice guys. Really, really nice gym. So I joined there, and my intention was, right, I'm going to solidly train 3 days at least a week, and I'm going to go over there and do it. I got a membership. I didn't go for 4 months. I try and train at Pride when I can. when I'm at Pride, if I would train an hour and a half, this morning I trained for an hour and a half. I probably trained for about 40 minutes. The rest of the time I start talking to members and stuff like that. Like, it's good and bad. Like, it's good, it's perfect course. I love it. I love talking to members. I love seeing what's going on with them. For those guys, it's like 5 minutes out of their session. But for me, it's like, I've got 10 of those to do. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you end up getting fucking freezing and cold between sets and stuff. Like, Tanya and Damo are really good at just ignoring people and getting on with training. I'm really shit. And you know what it is? I can't even blame the members because I usually go up to them and start the conversation.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So yeah, for me personally, training, it's just more like ticking over. Like, so with the bodybuilding, that was my goal, my focus. That's what kept me sane. Now it's totally switched to just being like business.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not a bad thing, I don't think. Because I guess in a way, you're at a point now where everyone else's success sort of relies on you. So you don't keep that business going in everything. People lose jobs, members don't have a gym, blah, blah, blah. They haven't got that community anymore. So I suppose it's really a really unselfish thing to do, really, to put yourself second constantly.
It's like, so
obviously
we provide a facility, but people pay to use that service as members, but we also got PTs pay rent as well, you know, so we've got to make that a good facility to them to train their clients from. We try and make it fair that they've all got sessions and classes to teach that can offset that rent as well. So, you know, it lowers that burden. So it's a hand-in-hand thing. It helps us because they teach sessions and our clients, but it offsets their rent, that sort of thing. So it's making sure that all ticks over. And I think with any business, you know, I love being there because if anything, when I'm there, that's my time off the business because I'm enjoying it and I'm there talking to people and stuff like that. The time in the business is usually home in the office that nobody sees, where you're just pounding keyboard and stuff like that. And I've got better at that. Tanya's still doing it till like 10, 11 p.m. at night most nights, usually just doing some work stuff. I've got better. I actually started gaming to try and sort of switch off from it a bit. So I do so it's actually lads from the gym. I've got like a lot of lads from the gym who play COD. So just doing that, it's probably an hour or two a night. So just do that. And that just helps me switch. It puts my phone down. You know, it just gets... Yeah. Like, WhatsApp can be fucking wild, man.
Yeah, I can imagine.
So it just helps with that. And this has been good for me because I've just been off my phone for an hour.
So one thing as well that I'd take away for this episode is take a risk. If you're out there and a risk is looming, would you say, obviously, not everyone's got the business mind like you have and the spreadsheets, but you'd say if there's a risk and you've got a gut feeling, go for it?
Yeah, it's all about gut feeling. I love spreadsheets. Like I'll spreadsheet all day. But yeah, risk is massive. Like obviously, you've got to sort of. I've always wanted to take risks, and I've always will take risks. I've done it since. Well, I've been doing it for the 16 years probably now. I've been taking. Well, actually, no more than that. 20 years since I joined RAF. So always taking risks, because I think you'd never get anywhere if you didn't.
Yeah.
You know, unless you get something handed on a plate to you all the time. At the same time, if you get something handed to you, have you achieved it? Maybe not. So it's all about that risk and achievement for me. It's always look for it, always drive for it. That's the main thing. Yeah.
Good thing is, I mean, it seems a lot what you've done. You've come up with an idea. You haven't just said, right, let's go. It's not risk, as in a risk. It's calculated risk, and it's coming up with an idea, sitting down, having a look. This is what I can do. What potential hiccups could be in where, what are positives, what are negatives, what's goal, and doing it that way. But I think that's really for up and coming generations. I think you're seeing it a lot more. I mean, kids are so business minded now. It's untrue. I messaged some lads the other day. Mode Trends, I think they're called. They're a clothing company.
Came into gym for a while.
They're only young lads, but you look at what they've done. You're like, fucking. When I were. Well, I think they were. Well, I don't know how old they are.
I think they're in the 20s.
Yeah.
Very early 20s.
Very early 20s. I wasn't thinking past what were happening on weekend, man.
No.
But
what? Yeah. Messaging them to come on pod?
Huh?
Messaging them to come on pod?
Yeah.
Well,
they're entrepreneurs, aren't they?
Yeah. No, I didn't know if it were for your personal clothing or for pod. That's all.
I can bring some of them with them, like.
Yeah, so I want to take this time to thank you very much for coming. You're obviously a very busy person, and you've spent a lot of time with us, and I appreciate it, and I'm sure Jake does the same.
Yeah, really, thanks a lot. And I think it's good for someone like yourself because I really do believe that guys like you deserve some recognition. I mean, people who don't know you'd say, oh, that fella that owns gym. I mean, truth be told, I just knew you were owner of Pride Gym. Didn't know you'd been through RAF. And, you know, you've really got a chance to tell people who you are and really the ethos of your business, that it's not just a money-making scheme for you. You know, you try to set something bigger than that. So, yeah, great fella. Thanks so much.
Cheers. No, I've enjoyed it. Yeah.
Do you want to tell us your websites and...
Instagrams or whatever?
Yeah.
Yeah, so the website's thepridegym.com. The Go Greener one's going to be gogreenerev.co.uk. Socials, at the Pride Gym. And I think that's the same on Facebook and Instagram. You can do like Facebook/the Pride Gym. Don't use Twitter. It's just there for trolls, I think. And then TikTok, we're on TikTok as well. I don't even know because I don't use TikTok. So I'm too
We'll plug it. We'll put a list of all your socials.
I can tell you what it is. Hang on. I've got it here. And I fucking hate it.
It's not something I've done, TikTok.
It's the Pride Gym _.
Brilliant. Buzzing. And we're actually doing an offer with Tez. So if you go on his website and put in the offer code, Tell us your tale, you can have 12-month membership at exact same price as what he charges.
Yeah.
And a free coffee. But no, like I say, I can't thank you enough. I mean, this is all new to us, you know what I mean? This isn't even a business, and it does our tits in trying to organise it, doesn't it? So for someone that's relying on it for a living and for the family, I think it's fucking brilliant. And like you say, your mental health's just as important as your physical, and I don't know how you do it, because this drives us insane most days, doesn't it?
What, doing the pod?
Yeah.
We thought it'd just be buy some microphones, sit round this table and talk, and then you start trying to actually get people here, and it's like fucking chaotic, isn't it?
It's good though, isn't it?
It's brilliant.
We've got 60 followers on Instagram without putting an episode out, so you can't really grumble so far.
Yeah.
So we're building.
As always, this episode's going to come out in a few weeks. But one thing we're really struggling with at the minute, this is to listeners, not to Tez, is women. We've got an influx of gentlemen that want to come speak to us, which is fantastic. But ladies, we need you. So if you've got a story to tell, again,
we'll get Tanya's point of view, being at home with kids whilst Tez is enjoying himself in Cyprus and whatnot.
Yeah, fucking hell.
But no, we do. We need women, so I'm sure we'll have a lot of Pride Gym members listening to this episode. So ladies, business, sports, personal life, trauma, achievements, crime and retribution, bloody anything and everything. If you've got a point to get across, we've got a platform for you to sit down and do it.
Yeah,
so,
brilliant.
Ciao for now, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, Tez.